When it comes to storytelling, there is a formula. And in this video, you're going to pick up the 7 steps that are going to help you to write any story you ever need to write. You just have to remember these 7 steps. They all begin with the letter P. And I'll give an example of how I've used them in my stories as well as we go along. And then that way you can duplicate it and use it in yours as well. The first step number 1, is what I call the plot in place. When you begin a story, you want to have some kind of location that you can describe. We don't have the benefit when we deliver a story of a movie playing behind us, right? So when you go to a movie, you can see the scene. As a speaker, you have to describe the scene. So what can you describe visually? What can you describe auditory from that's going to engage the auditory senses? Kinesthetic, smells. Is there anything that you can describe that gives people an idea of where the story is taking place? So I'm going to use the same story throughout so that you can tell where I use these P's. So I told a story once, and I gave it in one of my speeches, about a woman who fired me and how I held a grudge against her. And I simply used the plot in place by saying I used to work in a government office, and you know the type where it's cubicles in a big open space with fluorescent lights shining down on you. That's it. I've described the scene by giving the plot in the place, and then I can move on. Now, you want to give that description so people kind of know where it's happening and they can visualize. If they can visualize your story, where it might be happening, it's going to bring them into your story that much more. The second P is people. The audience that's listening to your story is going to remember 2 things over everything else. Trust me, I know this from experience. They're going to remember the memorable lines from your speech, and they're going to remember the characters or the people in your story. So can you give someone an idea of who is in your story, the characters? So I use the 3 P's for this. I call it personality, picture, and parrot. So personality, can you give an element of their personality that can be relatable, that they can understand? Describe them in some way. Number 2, picture. Can you visually describe them? You know, she walked in the room, she had her long blonde hair and blue eyes, or, you know, whatever, or chocolate skin and an afro, whatever. Something that gives us a picture of what they look like. And finally, parrot. Parrots, copy. So you can copy your character and have them actually say something in your story. She looked at me and she said, da 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 da, whatever it is. And that way you can mimic that character, and it gives the audience the feeling like that person's there and the scene in your story is actually happening. So if we go back to the same story, the woman that fired me, I called her Barb, I changed her name, and I said, you know, when you're in an office and you are around a water cooler and you tell a joke, everyone laughs. Well, this is how Barb would laugh. And I go straight face. So that immediately tells you her personality is she's not very funny. And I actually say before that, she was born without a funny bone. So that gives the impression, hey, she's a stern person and she's very serious. So that is how you can describe a person in a humorous way. You can also just visually describe them, that's fine. You can also parrot them, so give them a line of dialogue within your story. Anything that's going to give us an idea of who that person was. So people, that's P number 2. P number 3 is the problem. Now, the problem, yes, it's P number 3, but you want to introduce this as soon as you can in your story. If you can get to a problem very quickly, you draw your audience in. And you want to use the I and I method when you have your problem. So you want to introduce it, and then you want to intensify it. You want to introduce the problem, and then you want to raise the stakes of that problem and intensify it in your audience's mind, right? So in my story, I initially talked to my first manager, and I was applying for a job that I eventually didn't get, and Barb was the one that fired me. And so I introduced the problem pretty early in the story by saying, you know, I talked to my manager, Rob, and I said, Rob, I'm going to go for this job, and I think I'm going to get it. He said, go ahead. And Then I followed up that line by introducing the problem with a line that makes my audience curious. I said, well, Rob wanted me to get the job. The problem was the person responsible for the hiring wasn't my manager. So the way I say that, I'm introducing, okay, there may be a conflict here, there may be a problem, and then I intensify it to the point where I introduce Barb, eventually we're sitting down, and then she fires me. But we'll get into that. So P number 3, the problem. Introduce and then intensify. P number 4, the prize. When you have a problem, you want to solve it. Eventually you have to solve the problem, and the way you solve it is by introducing what's called the prize. So the prize is that thing that helped you overcome the problem, to move to a better life, to move to a better way of thinking, whatever it is. And the thing with the prize to remember is it can come from people, but it can also come from pages. You can learn your prize through a quote you read in a book or something you learned along the way. You can learn it from other people. The mistake I see most speakers make is that they make themselves the prize. I went through this problem and I overcame it. Well, that doesn't give your audience anything but the impression that you are special, that you are to be held on this high pedestal and no one else matters. You didn't learn anything from anyone else and you're just so great. Now, it makes you sound like you're the answer to all your own problems. So whenever you can, make sure the prize comes from someone or somewhere else, something that taught you that lesson. So in my story, I go from saying I'm going to go for the job, sitting down in the office with Barb on the day of the decision interview, and she says to me quite clearly, you didn't get the job and we won't be keeping you here. So I bring her back into the story by parroting her, by actually imitating her line. And when I'm walking out of the office after I got fired, my prize comes in the form of a quote from someone else. So I didn't just say, oh, you know what, she fired me and I let it go and everything was good. No. I had to learn that lesson from somewhere. So I say, as I was walking out of the office, I remember a quote. The quote was ringing through my ears. It was from the late South African president Nelson Mandela, who once said that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies. And then I realized that I can't hold on to this anymore. I can't hold on to this grudge. I walked out of that office and I had been holding on to it for 3 years. So I say in the story that I've been holding on to that grudge for a long time. I eventually came back and I got a better job, and I eventually tried to come back and tell that manager, hey, you may have knocked me down, but I got back up, and just show her that I thrived even though she fired me. So it's when I came back that I realized that Nelson Mandela quote was me holding on to resentment. And so the prize came from his quote, not from just my realization. In fact, I acted kind of silly. I went back and I held on to that grudge, and 3 years after I was fired, I tried to go back and tell that lady, hey, I got a new job, no big deal. But then the Nelson Mandela quote came back, and that was my prize. That's where a lot of speakers stop, but we got to go to the next step. P number 5 is the payoff. Most speakers will, in their stories, talk about the problem they went through. Most will even talk about the prize. You know what? They learned something and they got over the problem. But I still see a lot of stories missing the payoff. People need to know that because you followed that prize, your life is actually better. It has to be better. So how is your life better now? Right? How is your life better? So in my story, I say, because I held on to that grudge for so long, because I let it eat at me for 3 years over someone who probably didn't even remember firing me, now when I run into a problem, I'm able to let go. Now I look back and I say, you know what? How can I move forward and not let it eat at me for so long? And I'm lighter, I feel better, and I'm able to get over grudges and resentment way faster now than I ever have before. So I now talk about the fact that my life is better. So if I show you my life is better, I went through this problem, I went through this prize, and now my life is better, you can attach yourself to that emotionally and say, you know what, maybe if I let go of some of the things in my past, my life will be better too. So always share the payoff. How's your life better as a result of following the prize? P number 6, the plan. If you speak on stages, if you speak in boardrooms, if you speak one-on-one, if you tell stories in any way, shape, or form, but the person listening can't do anything with it, then you've basically wasted their time. And you don't want to waste anybody's time, so give them something they can use in their life. Something tangible that they can do starting tomorrow to apply your lesson. So it might be simple, something as simple as what I do in my story. I say, you know what, if there's something you're holding on to, something that is eating at you, just ask yourself one question: how can I move forward? How can I make myself feel better by moving forward? And then just follow that. So I give them a plan. I give them a question they can ask themselves anytime they're holding on to something. What's something I can look forward to? And that is something that I've done in my life. When I have that feeling that I'm holding on to something, holding on to resentment, I say to myself, you know what? How can I move forward past this? So that's the plan. That's something, a technique they can use in their life going forward. And the final thing you need to do, P number 7, this is the one thing that people are going to remember. And please don't make a story. Don't write a story unless you have this last P in place, the phrase. You want a one-liner that people can remember and take with them in their lives to help them remember your story and your lesson. And my line in this story was, you can't move forward when you're looking back. And a good time to drop that line or to say that line is at your most emotional moment of your story, and then remind them of it at the end of your story as well. So when I go back to the office, I try to go back to the office to tell Barb, you know, I got this new job and I'm doing so much better now. Well, wouldn't you know that my manager, Rob, let me know that Barb got a promotion. She moved on. She's not even at the office anymore. So I never got a chance to go tell that lady, hey, listen, I made it. I'm still doing okay, even though you fired me. And I say in that moment, I was instantly embarrassed by my behavior. I held on to that grudge. And then the Nelson Mandela quote came back to me. And then I realized in your life, you can't move forward when you're looking back. So I dropped the phrase there. And when I drop it there at an emotional moment of the story, when people's emotions are heightened, they're going to remember more of what you say. So if you can drop your phrase in that moment and then even remind them of it at the end, people will come back to you days, weeks, months later and say, you know what, thank you for that. You can't move forward when you're looking back. To this day, what do people remember about my story? It's about a 5 to 7 minute story that I tell in one of my keynote speeches. And people remember Barb, they remember my people, because I let people into who she was and some of her dialogue, some of the things she said, and they remember my phrase, you can't move forward when you're looking back. In fact, they call it the Barb story, you know? So remember to have a phrase. And phrases are good when they're rhythmic, when they have some kind of rhythm to them, sometimes when they rhyme or they have like alliteration or contrast. One of the most famous phrases in history actually comes from JFK. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I guarantee you ask anybody who watched that speech, what else do you remember from that speech? They'll probably say not much, but they remember the phrase. That's the power of a phrase. So remember those 7 Ps. As you write your story, include all of these things, and I promise you, your story will connect, it will engage your listeners, and it will be better than most of the stories that most speakers tell.